Hi everyone, Father Lamb here. Well, today maybe the take-home line we can all bring with us is, the captain is on the bridge. You know, we live in a very divisive world. Here we are, July 1st. We're still in the middle of coronavirus. You know, a lot of division in our country and our world. Coming up on Independence Day, thinking about our freedom, and things seem a little crazy. Sometimes it seems that like the universe is sort of unfolding. You know, things are getting worse and worse and worse. But we have to remind ourselves the captain is on the bridge, meaning God's in control. Jesus Christ suffered, died, rose from the dead. He's offering us a gift of eternal life. He has won the fight over evil. And you and I are locked in space and time trying to work out our own redemption one day at a time. The captain is on the bridge. You know, even though it seems like the world is so crazy, and it is, we have gone through worse times in the history of the world. And sometimes we've got to remind ourselves of that. I'm not trying to make light of the pain some people are going through, but we have to remind ourselves the captain is on the bridge. If you've ever been on a cruise, you know, you're sleeping at night and the waves come a little bit and it kind of wakes you up. You don't then get up and run up to the captain and say, you got everything under control? Is everything all right? You being safe? You just roll over, you go back to sleep because you know the captain is on the bridge. He's in control, and we need to trust him. In the same way, you and I need to trust God. That in the end, everything's going to be okay. So on the one hand, we keep in mind the captain's on the bridge, and then we realize something. There's only really one thing that you and I have to deal with. Think about that for a moment. What's the one thing that we have to deal with? I like to say that the one thing that you and I need to deal with is our thoughts. What are we thinking? I challenge you to look at that for a moment now. There's an often quoted famous line from Henry Ford. He said, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. Whatever we think about, we sort of become. We think positively, we can enter into positive things. We think negatively, we can't do things, then we won't. In fact, in Catholic theology in the past, in dealing with examination of conscience and things like that, we've often said, check out your thoughts, your words, and your deeds. Thoughts leads to words, and then words can lead to actions. Before you and I ever sin, we're already thinking about the sin in our head. And anytime we do a good deed, a charitable deed, we think about it beforehand. Our thoughts lead to actions. So it's a good time for us just to look at that and ask ourselves, you know, what's going through my brain? And you know how we joke sometimes, like you do something stupid, somebody will say, what were you thinking? Exactly. What was going through my brain? What was going through my thoughts? When you wake up in the morning, what's the first thing you think about? I wake up, it's like you're waking up and going, my God, another day, you know, like it's a gift. Or, my God, another day, like, oh no. I like to think of myself as a positive person, but often I wake up in the morning and I have a lot of negative thoughts going on. And it's important to change those thoughts, to let go of the thoughts that are negative. And if you start watching TV, right away, all that negativity and more negativity in our head. I like to challenge you and challenge myself. Take one day this week, and you won't be able to do it for more than one day. Take one day and make a decision to let go of all negative thinking. Today, I'm going to be thinking positive. And so a negative thought comes in your head, you let go of it. And the truth is, most of the thoughts that come through our heads aren't worth having. I mean, some of them are like, why am I thinking this? Bring another thought in. And this is not easy, you see, because, I mean, for example, if I say to you, don't think of a pink elephant, what are you thinking of, see? And yet, sometimes we can't get rid of thoughts right away. We crowd them out by bringing in the good thoughts. You know, we ask God to come into our lives. We think godly thoughts. We want to think the way that God thinks. And that really is what doing God's will is, to think as God thinks. Jesus was in the Garden of Gethsemane. Father, take this cup from me. He was thinking, oh my gosh, my death is imminent. I don't want to go through that suffering. But then he said, your will, not mine, be done. Your way of thinking be done, not my way of thinking. And maybe we could just take a look at that. And if you go through a certain day this week and say, I'm not going to have any negative thoughts, I'm going to bring the positive in. And the best thing to do is get rid of the negatives right away. It's kind of like if you're sitting by an open fire and you have a brand new shirt on, and you're sitting there and all of a sudden a hot ember pops up. It lands on your sleeve and you start looking at it and thinking about it, it's going to ruin your shirt. Oh, I wonder how that happened. How did that pop out of there? It would ruin your shirt. Without even thinking, you just get rid of the ember right away to save your shirt. The longer we hold on to negative thoughts, the more and more that they affect us. So try it one day. And as the negative thoughts come in, think of godly thoughts. Think of the Lord. Think of positive things. And what you're going to find out is this, and this is important. If you really try to do this, and you really try to keep just positive thoughts, as you just get into this a little while, maybe just a few hours, you're going to think that you've gotten worse. Today I wanted to think only positive thoughts, and I'm thinking more negative thoughts than ever. No, you're not. You're just becoming aware. See, we're not even aware of how negative our thinking is all day long, And we need to realize that, the captain's on the bridge. And you and I just need to worry about what our thinking is, because our thinking then can lead to actions. This week, let's keep it really, really simple, because this has a lot of ramifications. I was even thinking it even has like pro-life ramifications. And you think of it this way. Before you and I existed in our mother's womb, we existed in the mind of God. That's an awesome thing to think about. God thought about us first, and then we were conceived in our mother's womb. No person is a mistake. God knows in the brain already. He knew in his mind that you were going to be. That's a wonderful, powerful thing to think about. My father was in recovery, and he taught us something that in recovery, people in 12-step programs talk about stinking thinking. You probably have heard that phrase before. Before any addict or alcoholic starts drinking, they have stinking thinking first, and that leads to the drink. And what they say in some recovery circles is you have to get rid of the stinking thinking. They say, stay out of your head. Because when you're in your head, you're behind enemy lines. There's no adult supervision. And you and I need to have adult supervision over our thoughts. And this week, be more aware of your thoughts. What am I thinking about? And you hear that negative thing start, and you're, having these speeches in your head, telling people off. Let go of it. Just let it go. It's not worth it, because it's causing you harm inside your own heart. The captain's on the bridge. All is going to be okay. But what are you and I thinking about? God bless you.